2024 could be the last year that we see an average price point in the $300,000. Now, I didn't mean to scare you with the title that $300,000 homes were going to go extinct altogether, but it is going to become more and more difficult to find a $300,000 home as the average price point continues to creep up here in Spokane year after year, despite price changes, high interest rates, everything. Our average price point, it continues every January to increase at least a little bit. And so we're going to jump into the numbers here and check it out. But basically this year we're sitting at, for January 2024, we're sitting at 399,950. So we just barely missed the mark of being in 400,000. But in December, we hit 390, and that was kind of our low point. And even though the market felt slow and things were not transacting as much, that December was still higher than, or actually was lower than the previous December at 395. But January to January, we are up about $10,000. And so if things happen the way we think they're going to happen, which is prices are going to increase anywhere from 3 to 5% this year in the Spokane area, that would mean by next January, we would not have an average price that has a 3 in front of it. It would be a 4. And that would put us about $415,000 for an average price point. So that's kind of, we're throwing it out there. That's kind of our, maybe the prediction for January of 2025. We can come back to this video and see what happened. But here's what I'm seeing in the market right now. In the month of January, I was in 5 different multiple offer situations between other buyers that I was representing and myself buying my own house. I had to go through a multiple offer situation as well. And so if this is happening in January when there's even just a slight sense of relief in the interest rates, then I think it's really just a telltale sign of what this summer is going to look like. Now, today, interest rates are actually above 7%. They're about 0.5 to 0.6% higher than they were just earlier this, like in the last 30 days or so. And it's kind of like a what gives. We're supposed to be seeing 5% this year, something in the 5s, 5.75, 5.9, whatever it ends up being. That's really what people are, the economists and the Fed, we're thinking, are hinting towards, is that we're going to get rates in the 5s. So why are we seeing interest rates go up if we're supposed to be making a huge jump down? So from different interviews that I've watched, things like that, they're saying just be patient. Even if it happens late this year, October, November, people still believe that it will happen, that we're going to have rates in the 5% at some point this year. So not saying it's a guarantee, but it's what the economists in our industry are hinting towards. And if that is the case, if we're seeing the frenzy we saw in January, which is the slowest month generally in real estate in our market, then it's going to be really interesting when we have low 6s to high 5s, late summer, early fall, when things tend to pick back up again as we head into the school year and people want to finalize their real estate transactions before the winter comes. Now, the flip side of this argument is that there's going to be so many listings coming to the market because there's people that are going to be okay with listing their home now and trying to buy something new. They're going to be okay with giving up their low interest rate below 4%, below 3%, and willing to take on something in the low 6s and high 5s because they can kind of justify it for their lifestyle. People are saying that there's going to be so many of those that it's actually going to flood the market with inventory and cause prices to come down or stay flat because there won't be as much, the demand for buyers versus sellers will be pretty equivalent at that point. So let's kind of see where we're at so far this year. We had a huge increase from December to January with the number of new listings that hit the market, almost a doubling, which is pretty intense. That is a large gap from going from 358 to 710 new listings within a month period. So again, a lot of action in the month of January, a lot of people that were just ready to roll for 2024. But if we look back historically, this 710 number is not astronomical for the number of new listings in the month of January. It's more than we had last year for sure, but not by even that much. And really, if you look back at times in which we would consider it to be a normal market, like 2018, 2019, it's really within the ballpark. 2019 is at 700, 2018 was at 743, so we're actually below that. So times in which we would consider the market to actually be relatively balanced and equal between buyers and sellers, we're within that ballpark. So that would actually be a good thing, because then on average, prices are going to go up about 3% year over year, 3 to 4%, keep up with inflation, which obviously our prices are trying to just are catching up to inflation most of the time, since the inflation was so great. But what this really is going to show is that anything that we see now relative to last year is going to seem kind of crazy. We have really short-term memory in our real estate business. Everybody last year thought the market was crashing because it was slow. There were no listings on the market. They thought there was a ton of inventory on the market, but there was actually less inventory than in 2020 and 2021, when it was super hard to find a home. So our perspective is always the year prior, when maybe the year prior isn't the best benchmark to make our opinions about what's going on. We got to look back at least 5, 6, 7 years to see how does this compare to what has been happening over a longer period of time in our real estate industry. And now as we look at the absorption rate, or the months of inventory on the market, we're at 2.7, and they say that a balanced market is at 6 months. That's 6 months of inventory. It would take 6 months to sell everything on the market if no new listings came available. But that would be pretty slow. That would be a very slow market, especially for our area. We're again getting back to 3 months of inventory. It's still technically a seller's market, but it means that there's good competition out there on the great homes that are listed well, are in great condition, the price is good, the location is good. You're going to get multiple offers on those properties. But the properties that are in terrible price, terrible condition, those ones probably not going to sell. So it's not a market where everything's going to sell always because there's just absolutely nothing available. But it's not a market where nothing is going to sell because there's no buyers out there and there's tons and tons of inventory. Every house on the block is for sale, things like that. And so 3 months of inventory is where I personally feel like that's like good balance. You're going to run into multiple offer situations every once in a while, but for the most part, you're going to be able to find a home that has been sitting on the market for about 20 days. You're going to be able to ask that seller for some concessions, but nothing crazy. And it's balanced negotiation. It's balanced level of competition out there. And so the closer we get to this, the happier I am personally, because it's a win-win market. Everybody's going to, at the end of the day, come out ahead, have a great time. Prices are going to continue to go up each year because there's enough competition in the market to keep moving. So I'm a proponent of 3 months of inventory personally. I don't think if it goes beyond that, that's when it really starts to get into the territory of prices are coming down, which the only people that want prices to come down are the people that are not currently homeowners. But they don't want prices to keep going down as soon as they buy their home. They want their prices to go up. So it's like, if you got to just keep that kind of low increase of price appreciation over time in order to keep everybody happy. So really the biggest thing to note is the difference between the number of new listings last month and the number of pending deals, the deals that went under contract last month. And so last month we had 459 properties go under contract, so about 2/3 in comparison to the number of new listings. And so as long as we keep those numbers in that like closer ratio, obviously there was not as much of an increase in pending deals because there was so few listings on the market that there was a higher percentage of the number of listings on the market going under contract because that's all the available options. But as long as we see a consistent kind of like 2 out of 3 homes that go on the market sell within like a month or so, then we're gonna probably stay within that 3 months of inventory timeline. So what does this mean for you? I think as a buyer, I think it is very likely that that median priced home, that median home price is not going to come back down to the 300s by 2025. I will come back to this video at that point and we will see. It'll be very interesting to check it out. So make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to check in, especially if you're not thinking about buying until 2025 or even 2026. I know that there's a few of you out there at this point. If you are a home seller, this time is great, honestly. I mean, this is it's not to be that realtor that always says that it's a great time to buy and a great time to sell, but if we're looking at it historically, prices have only been a little bit higher at one point, and that was in 2 summers ago. And we are fast approaching that price again this summer. So if you bought any time outside of 2022, you are probably still looking pretty good. And you could, whatever your situation is, whether you're relocating out of the market, you bought too small of a home when you first bought and you need to grow into a new one, the time is now. The availability to make that transition is very possible right now. And so just don't let any fear mongering out there hold you back from making a real estate transaction in 2024. Just actually look at the pure numbers and see if it makes sense for you. So reach out to an expert in the Spokane area. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have. You can use the link down below in the description to schedule a time on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. And down there as well is a handful of free guides to help you with whatever you're looking for, whether you're buying, selling, relocating. There's a free guide down below that you can download, and hopefully it will help you out. Let me know in the comments below if you think there will ever be 300,000 in our average price point again. And let me know if you download one of those guides. I just made them again to just be helpful. I hope it does answer some questions for you. So thanks so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.